Okay, there we go, guys. Sorry, I couldn't see myself in here. Um, Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I see that Joseph is already here. As always, please let me know if you guys can hear me well and if you can see and if everything is working fine. I see that we have outsider in here as well. Uh, yeah, welcome, guys. Welcome to the stream. As always, we're gonna wait just a few minutes for people to join, but I feel like there are some stuffs happening somewhere on the screen that should be quite interesting for some of you, because yes, that's a brand new battlefield. Um, yeah, Yusuf, you're asking what's coming with the next era. We'll talk about that in a minute. As I was saying, for now, there's a brand new battlefield that you can look at for now. And if you look carefully, you can also see that we have new units in here. Let me see if I can show them to you a bit better. Where are you? Where are they? There we go. If you want to see the skin a bit better. Um, yeah, that's also a brand new skin for the Monster Hunter. So I wanted to showcase that before they get into the game. And if you're wondering how you can get those, these are going to be some of the new exclusive skins and battlefield, etc., that we're adding to the web shop. So as I told you a few times already, guys, we are slowly uh, ramping up what is offered on the web shop, and there will be these new exclusive cosmetics coming in for people that just want to get some nice looking skins in there. Just to be clear, it doesn't mean that they will never be available in the game or that you have no other ways, etc. It simply means, at least for now, that's the place where you will be able to get them. And maybe at one point in the future they will be available elsewhere. But for the time being, if you want those skins and battlefield design, that will be on the um, on the web shop. So that's one thing I wanted to broadcast in here. The main reason being that I know a lot of players still have no idea about the website and the web shop section inside our website. So we have a website called Spellwagon, and on Spellwagon you can basically get different packages from what you get in the game, and we're slowly making it more attractive now that we know it's working fine. There's no technical issues. Everything is fully working on that end. We're slowly shaping it so that there's more and more content in here and more interesting things. But for the time being, that's what I wanted to showcase. So you will be seeing this battlefield and the skin pretty much all throughout today's fight night. I'm just going to check if the event is live, and if so, we'll be able to start. We'll start as always, or well, as most of the time, with the easy and medium difficulty, because we have just a few players there, 21 for today. So it will be rather fast. And without further ado, let's start. Should be working. Let me see. I think we're on the good account, so everything is working there. Okay, that was a crazy defeat. I didn't have the time to see what was even happening in there. That's insane. Um, so yeah, that's the easy fight, and I still see some guys with like level 4 artifacts. You can probably try to take on directly the next level guys. It's okay if you don't want to. It's simply uh, not the best calculation for you guys, because you could get uh, better reward there. I'm sorry for leaving that window a bit too long. When I first clicked it, it didn't go away. So this happens at time. Hey, Benjamin. I don't know I don't know where you're from. Where are you from, Ben? I will call you Ben until I know where you're from, because then I know if I'm supposed to say Benjamin as I would in my French language, or if I should call you Benjamin or any other iteration, because Oh, from Germany. So that should be Benjamin, pretty much, right? Spent many years in Germany, but I don't think I met that many people with this name because usually I had a few Bennies that I worked with, but they were that Benny was their real name, so it's a bit bit tough. Not sure how I should pronounce it. You tell me. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we were talking about, as always, what's coming in the game in the near future. Just talked really briefly about these new cosmetics. As you might have seen, uh, Benjamin would be German. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Um, yeah, as you might have noticed, we've been adding more cosmetics lately into the game. There's the new ones for the global red boss, and I wanted to start with that because I feel like there's been some communication lost in there with the changes to the global red boss, and one of them is that we have improved the rewards, and among the different changes, it's in now including exclusive cosmetics that you can only get through there. That includes titles and skins as well, and portraits, if I remember correctly. So that's one of the things we wanted to do from the get-go for the global red boss. The only thing is that technically the system was not designed to give this kind of in-game elements, so we had to tweak it a little. That's why it was not there from the get-go, but it is in there now. So that's good news at least. Um, so yeah, that's basically one place where you have new cosmetics, and we are also going to be adding in the very next days new starter packs and new army packs in general, which will also include some um, brand new cosmetics. So if you're into collecting cosmetics, you will definitely be rather happy to see that we have quite some things coming in there. And since we are talking about skins, I will take your question in just a second, Benjamin. I will also tell you that we're starting to tweak with slightly crazier concepts, like potentially animated portraits, more animated battlefields, these kind of things. At the moment, the main reason why we try to not go too far with this is to not make the app too loud, yeah, just too heavy. Um, and that's one thing we need to focus on and be careful with. But that's one of the things we're toying with. So maybe that will come. Now, to answer to your question, Benjamin, you were asking how you can see the enemy army setup before the fight night. It's always the two same accounts that are used. So one of them is CellarDoor Easy and Medium. That's for this fight. And if you apply for the more advanced fights, that would be CellarDoor with some help. And in the announcements that we post on Discord about the coming fight night, we always put the names for the armies in there so that you can go and fight for it. Just remember that when sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was reading Yosif's comment at the same time. But uh, just remember that we, when we post the announcement, we also mention when those armies will be ready, because sometimes they are ready pretty much when I post the announcements, but sometimes you have to wait a bit more before they are ready. Depends on the day. And we're almost already done with the easy and medium fight, so we'll be able to go pretty directly into the hardcore and advanced mode. Um, So I see, Joseph, that you're saying that if we go with those kind of elements, we should add some more animation. I guess that's the animations you mentioned to already existing skins. Yes, so the animations on skins, that's a feedback I already shared with the team. It's usually always going to be a balance because on one end, animations on skins are taking quite some time and some effort pretty much. So when we do something a bit fancier and nicer and more original there, we need to make sure it's also a skin that will really pop out and be successful. But also the other aspect is that we are also looking into potentially have more exclusive, crazily animated skins also on the longer run. But that would be potentially a different system from the skins you already know, meaning that it would be something that is not applied to all groups of a unit type, but could be something that you potentially only equip to one group of units as something ultra shiny, etc., or something like this. It's just something we toy with at the moment. But yeah, the feedback about the animations of some of the latest skins we shared, that's been shared with, and you should see it improve again on the short run. And what we're also looking at is, because again, that's more efficient for us, is to see if we can build new animations that we can reuse for some of the skins we already released and add an animation that didn't fit that well. So of course, the animation itself, the effect might not be as exclusive because it's already on other units as well. But at least making sure that it fits and it still looks good. That's the first priority. And then on the longer run, there should be more exclusive um, animations there as well. Benjamin, you were asking how you can use the names to find the armies. Yeah, basically you can do it via the friendly fights options, which I guess the the easier way to do it is via the rankings directly. In the rankings, you can basically look for friendly fights, and you basically type the name of your opponent, and that's basically how you would do it. But if you have any trouble finding the option and finding how to find other players for that, I'm sure you will find hundreds of players that can directly show that to you. And ultimately, that's also um, one thing I always try to push players to go to the community for those kind of things, because ultimately, to me, the best benefit of such a game is to try to be involved in the community as much as we can. So yeah, that's the advice I would give. Um, okay, I don't know why my battlefield didn't get saved, but I don't want that. I want the shiny battlefield that I was showing earlier, because yeah, why wouldn't we put a nice battlefield in there? Come on. Oh, I'm so bad at those kind of things at times. There we go. Bim. Okay, so now we will be able to start with the regular and advanced mod, the hardcore mod. I don't know. I name it differently every single time. I don't know which name really fits best. In case you didn't see it, there's been one very slight change in the list of players, which is already uh, to date on YouTube and on Discord. But basically, there was a player that contacted us a bit late to get into the fight night, since there were decent amount of players today and not so many that I couldn't do it. I added him. The problem is that when you do it this late in the event, it adds them on top of the list. And a few times I basically went through the struggle of manually putting them back down, but it takes forever. And since I did it a bit late, I was like, okay, that's fine. You will be first. So Marki will be first. Then we have Skarsgård, TheHack, DeadReapingHood. We have Narkisus. We have Randu, Saint John, Ghostin, G1234, and JakeBrawl. That would be for the 10 first players in here. I'm just checking that everything is live. Yes, we should be ready to go. Yes, there we go. No worries for the explanation, Benjamin. That's why we're here. So anytime. And at the same time, if you have any wishes, any suggestions, any feedback about the game, especially since I take for granted from what you mentioned in there that you probably joined us not too long ago in the game. If you have any questions, anything you um, would like to just bring as feedback from someone that started a bit later than most of our viewers, we're always welcoming any such feedback. So feel free to tell us whatever comes to mind. Also, since this is a stream that is always a bit casual on my end, I answer pretty much any question. So yeah, just I'm trying at least to answer any question that come my way. Okay, so now I guess it's a good time to start talking about what's coming into the game next, because we have quite a few things prepared. So I will first talk about the GRB because it's happening right now, and I know there are quite some questions about it. So for the GRB, the Global Red Boss, it's still in the beta phase, as you know, right now. There are a few things we're looking at that we want to improve, and that should make the experience a lot better for players. So first of all, we still have one or two bugs we really want to tackle. One of them that just came in with this version is linked to the new units, so the bishop. So that will be looked into, obviously. And we still have the one with the leaderboards that we are working on. This should be, I'm actually not even sure if it wasn't already sorted with this version, but it should be sorted very soon. Outside of that, we have a few different things we want to bring in terms of the content itself. One thing we are really considering at the moment is whether or not we want to keep the overall win or overall loss in the event. What I mean by this is that this is the idea that started this event, but we see now that it's super confusing for players, and also a bit unfair because since players play for the leaderboards, if you play for the leaderboard, but because not enough players participated, you end up with rewards that are really not that great. It's not that good. And it also makes it a lot harder for us to balance it in a way that the community will win it, or have the opportunity to win it and not make it too easy either. So one way we could sort this out is by just saying, you know what, from now on, there's no winning or losing. It's a simple or more regular boss. The main difference being that everyone is attacking it and you have your leaderboards. Um, and in this case, the difference would come as well from having um, a clan leaderboard as well. That's the second element we're looking at, something we've told you from the start we're looking at. So at the moment, we're looking at this, potentially getting rid of the winning and loss system, which means you would always get the rewards that are kind of associated with winning right now. So that would be better for everyone. And a lot safer as well for those that go for the leaderboard and spend a lot of keys in the event. They would get what they aim to get. At the same time, we would add clan leaderboards, which would grant rewards to the entire clan, especially cosmetics. We are potentially looking at a different type of cosmetic that is not quite in the game yet. So that would be one thing. And potentially there could be also some other rewards coming this way. And in the other changes that we're looking at, um, one of them is to have a different key system for the global red bar so that you guys can play your regular reds and play the global reds without feeling like you have to pick your sides. So those are some of the main changes coming. Um, Also worth noting that so far we've only used one global red boss, like one unit, which is this Chimera, um, and there will be more. The goal at one point is that we pretty much have one design for each era, something like this. Maybe it's not clear right now if we would rotate them for each era or if we would rotate it for every time the event runs. That's another option we have, but they would have different buffs and etc. So that's the goal that we're looking at. So yeah, for the global red boss, that's the main things we are currently looking into. One other thing linked to that, which I already discussed with you guys a few times, but we are currently revamping or extending rather the achievements system. So right now you have your seasonal, well, not seasonal, you have your weekly, you have your daily, you have your overall quests, like achievements. And our goal is to have a seasonal one. So you would have daily, weekly, seasonal, all time. The all time one is going to get extended. There will be more achievements. And we will also have some for the seasonal one. And that means in the seasonal one, we can add achievements linked to the global red boss, for example. So that means now you would have a better reason to go in the event and play it. Even if you know you're not going to be making it to the top 100, you would still have some rewards to get from there. So that's what we're looking at. And of course, you would also participate because your clan all together can get rewards from there as well. And that's one thing we're looking at for the achievements. The other one, as I was saying, was more achievements on the old time kind of thing. I think there are a few different ones that we're looking at, like, spending, or I think about, there's one with cosmetics, so collecting a number of skins. There's one about the gems that you spend. So it's not, you don't need to spend gems since it's an old time one. It basically just adds up over time, but that's those things we will get. Hi, Yosif. I don't think we're gonna extend the ones that are already existing. As far as I'm aware, we're adding new ones mostly. I would have to recheck, but from what I know, it's mostly adding new ones. And even if we were adding new levels to some of the existing one, we wouldn't take away any of the rewards that you were already getting, right? So if at 100,000 wins you were supposed to get a super fancy title, etc., you would still get it. It's just that if we were, I mean, again, I really don't think it's the case, but if we were adding, I don't know, something for 200,000, then there would be a new fancy rewards for it. Like it wouldn't be taking away from you guys. The thing though with achievements, the old time ones, is that we kind of always need to add some stuffs because the longer the game exists, the more people will reach it, and there's a point where we need everyone to get it. You know, oh, but the portrait to complete all, etc. Yeah, as I'm saying, again, I really don't think we're adding to the existing one for the time being. But even if we were at one point doing this, it wouldn't change the rewards you were getting. So even the portraits, etc., we would probably make like an other achievement starting where the last one stopped, because we don't have a reason to, like, spoil you from the stuff you would have received if you finished 5 months earlier or 2 months earlier before we make the change, right? So that's not really the direction we are going with. And that being said, yeah, there's a point at which some of the achievements might be revisited, because some of them, like, 100,000 wins takes forever. But you have some of them that are not really making sense in the way they are right now. Like, they are pretty much done rather quickly into your gaming experience, and it's a bit sad when a lot of players simply feel like they don't have that much to chase. So it's also important for us to make sure it's there. I know that there's one for sure coming for the cosmetics. I think there's one for the overall gem spent. I think there's one for I don't remember what are the other ones. I didn't have the final list shared with me yet, so I just mentioned the ones I have in mind from the top of my head. But I know that there are a few ones coming, and that should be coming quite soon, actually. Already in the next coming weeks, that should be released. That's the current plan, at least. And the idea with us trying to add that is that it also shows us if we are able to have um, more achievements, as I said, that are also season based. The season based one, it's because right now it's something that is kind of missing in the current achievements. So that's something we want to work on. And on the long run, you can think of a lot of things. You could have clans achievements, like all time clans achievements, all those kind of things. There's a lot we could do with this mechanic. So we're trying to see um, how we could do it and have nice rewards for it as well. Sorry, guys, I just realized that the microphone I'm using is a bit close to my mouth, so I hope when I'm drinking it's not some kind of super weird ASMR for you guys. I mean, some of you might like it, but I know myself, I really don't like this kind of sounds. So please let me know if that's the case, and I will make sure to, just push the microphone a bit away from me when I'm drinking. If you guys were hearing any weird uh, mouth sounds, that's tough to say. Mouth noises. Okay, I think I've said it many times by now, but being French, anytime there is a th in a word, it's never naturally flowing from my mouth. Never. And if you have a silent h at the beginning of a word, that's the worst thing you can do to any French speaking person, to ask them, hey, go pronounce that. No, it's never gonna work. So yeah, so those are two of the main things that are coming very soon. You've also seen already the first step of the rework for the battle pass. So the season pass, sorry. So the point with changing the season pass was to make it work a bit better with the global red boss and revamp a bit the progression. The one that existed in the past was fairly linear, which is good in its own, but that means for a lot of newer players or people that are not really going till the end of the season path, they simply didn't have a reason to really push, because um, most of the super good rewards would be too far away from them, or they didn't get the push of getting super nice reward at the beginning. So that's what we've been trying, um, what we've been trying lately. And you also have seen that we reran the gold extravaganza, the um, unit great event over this past weekend. That's the kind of things where we want to run regularly. I'm not sure if it's going to be once per era or twice per era. That depends. We have a few different one of them. So the Eternite one will come back as well. You will see all those weekend events coming back regularly. It's helping the game there. Oh, new journey levels. That's actually a good question, Benjamin, because I didn't mention it yet, but that's one of the things that is coming. So it's not only new journey levels. Um, One thing I mentioned quite some times ago is that one of the problem we have currently with the journey levels is that because you can go and have as many tries as you want, what happens is that you have people that will go into the journey levels, they will do 50 levels, and then they will stop for month of progression, and then they will do 50 levels, and then they will stop for a month, and it ends up not really being the way it should be for us, and it's also a bit frustrating for the players. So what we're gonna be most likely doing is um, having a system where you have a certain number of tries for the journey levels. If you fail, basically at one point you cannot keep going for that day. The main reason being that for new players, it's gonna spread out. Not necessarily, it will not take more time to complete the journey levels, at least up to the point that they are right now, but it will be more regular. It will be something that players are checking every other day or every day and do one level, two levels, and progress this way in a more linear way in this case, because the way it's working so far, the rush that you have where people do 50 levels in a row and then don't do anything for month and month, it's simply not really the intended design. So that's one thing we're going to do there, but we're also going to be obviously releasing new journey levels. I don't know how many yet will be there, but there are quite a few that were prepared. Already last summer, when we released the last one, we were saying that we pretty much kept some others that we prepared because we wanted to have this journey level rework being done as well. I know as well that some of the rewards, I mean, it won't really concern a lot of you guys because it's not going to be it's mostly going to be targeted to the new players, but we are going to reshuffle some of the rewards because some of the rewards we were receiving at the beginning of the game wouldn't really make sense. Some other rewards on the other end were way too good for the moment you were receiving them in the game. And again, one of the key issues with people not doing anything with the journey level and then doing 50 in a row is that people would end up getting an insane amount of resources all at once and then nothing for super long. And it's not really ideal for us. So that's basically what we're doing. So no, I mean the way it's gonna work, it's not that you get a maximum amount you can do per day. It's like when you are um, failing, basically, you basically need to wait until you have an opportunity to do it again. But it's still going to be allowing you to do many levels a day if you are succeeding, etc. It's simply going to spread it out ever so slightly more for newcomers. Uh, to give you an idea, yeah, it's kind of like a cooldown, yeah. To give you an idea, this is pretty much how it works in 99% of the mobile games on that end. Technically, for us, it's important that players focus on the main PvP game because that's the main event in the game. And then, if they already secured their season pass or there's an event running, they use the currency they have for that event. So if it's a global red boss, you have. Okay, guys, I think we are back in. Yes, can you guys hear me? Is everything working fine? I have no idea what happened. It's been more than, yeah, no, not more than a year. It's been 8 months that we're doing these streams. It's the first time that the internet went down as we were streaming. Okay, cool. Maybe I was gonna say something super secret and important, and the government felt like, no, no, you cannot say that. We have to take you down. Uh, anyway, the good news is that I didn't have to restart the stream itself. Everything went back on. So that's great. Glad to see that you can hear me and see me, Benjamin. I think it should be working fine now. There's just one fight, pretty much, that was ongoing and ended uh, while you couldn't see me. So I hope I will be able to check that afterwards and let you know if you won or if you lost. I'm gonna be able to tell you in just a second who it was. We currently are at Breather. So let me check where we are. Breather, where are you? Okay, so it was probably Admiral that was facing me when the issue happened. I stopped the auto spin right away. Admiral, by the look of your stats, I am quite sure you were disconnected again. What is that? Oh, am I back in? Can you guys finally see me and hear me again? I think you can. Okay, that was a hell of a ride. Okay, just a second. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see my screen instead of seeing this cute little pony. Okay, we should be good to go. Oh, very good French. Yeah, let's be very nice with the with the French government. Apparently, they didn't like the joke. Actually, I'm just waiting 1 or 2 minutes to see if it's stable before starting again because I don't want people to miss on their fight. It's funny that you were mentioning the croissant recipe because in the region of France where I live, we have a huge fight about what you guys call choco croissant in Germany, uh, because 75 to 80% of France called them pain au chocolat, which is like chocolate bread. And my part of France is calling them chocolatine, which is just a cute little word made up. And the fun thing is that there are really strong fights about which one should be the correct term, etc. Pretty much the entire southwest of France is fighting for chocolatine, and everyone else is only saying pain au chocolat. But the fun thing is that this is not French. This comes from Austria. So we should probably ask them how they want us to call it. because yeah, it's you know all the stuffs like croissant and etc. In France, we call that viennoiserie, so stuffs that come from Vienna because that's where we took that from. So maybe, just maybe, we should go and ask those guys rather than fighting um, against each other for that. It seems like everything is working fine. So if it's working fine, I think we should be safe to start another fight. Just so that you guys know what happened, um, I simply just had to restart my entire router. For now, it seems to be stable. I never had any issues with internet in like 3 years that I'm in this place. So I really wasn't expecting that. Yeah, we have the auto spin on. Let's see how it will work. I would argue about your Weisswurst. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. I get it. Because what would be the other thing? People would call it Bratwurst, right? I guess that's the 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 one fight that you have on over that, right? I remember one because I lived in Germany for 6.5 years, and for me the big one was everything that had a specific name in Hamburg compared to everywhere else. So it's like, hey, yeah, I'm drinking a Radler everywhere, but if you're in Hamburg, it's Alsterwasser, and it's like, okay, I guess that you wanted to have a name that links to your own city, but it's not even coming from your own city. So why do you have to make it so weird? But yeah, I like this kind of weird regional fights that we can have at time over linguistics, at least, because at least no one is getting hurt over those kind of fights. Okay, let's see if we spin, if everything is gonna work. Hopefully, it's gonna work fine. So far, so good. I'm holding my breath. I'm crossing all the fingers I have that we are done with the technical difficulties for the day. So far, so good. Because if I have to restart the router every 2 fights, it's gonna be a long fight night. A very long one. I'm gonna just drop a message on Discord as well since we told them about the issue. Okay. Why is it called Fight Night if it's 4:52 your time? Actually, it's 5:52 my time. Uh, because yeah, summertime, I guess. Yeah, that should be the reason. Um, I'm not sure why they really wanted to call it this way, but technically, the company that started the game, Traplight, when they were doing the first fight nights, I think they started a bit later to be at a more convenient time, especially for people in the US or for some other places in Europe, because they were in Scandinavia. So that's why they called it Fight Night. On top of that, anyway, since they were in Scandinavia, 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., and actually in their case, that was even a bit later than that because there's a time difference there, would anyway be nighttime for a big chunk of the year. So that's my guess at why it was called this way. But I must admit, I never really thought about it this way. So, fun fact about Lord Redinald that we are facing, well, we were facing right now. For month and month, I kept on calling him Lord Reginald, and he kept on correcting me, but I every time he would show up again on Discord or on YouTube, or even at times when I would be checking some support tickets, I would keep on making that mistakes. So now it kind of stuck with me. I know I will never get his nickname wrong again because I already did this mistake so many times. So if you're watching this, sorry about the number of times I butchered your nickname. Really wasn't something I did on purpose, but yeah, still the way it worked out. So I'm checking, by the way, where we are because I got kind of lost with this crazy stuff. So yeah, we have about 50 players, 52 that are down now. So yeah, we're past midway. We have about 40 players left at this point, and it seems like it's working fine. So I hope we'll be able to keep things running properly. Okay, guys, so do you have other questions? Do you have any other topic that you want to bring up? Any other thing that comes to your mind? Anything you would like to get details on? Any suggestions you may have? Um, yeah, just let us know. I'm also checking at the same time that thing is stable. I'm kind of freaking out right now. I'm being paranoid. I'm checking my internet connection every other second to make sure it's working fine. Okay, so if you guys don't have any further question for the time being, I will have to think, is there anything else that I can mention that is coming at the moment? Earlier, there were some questions about the next era and those kind of things. So, first thing I can say is that the end of this era will see the return of the um, cursed event again. So, yeah, that's the Twisted Curse event. That's the exact name. That's something that will come back, and we're quite excited about this because you guys like this event a lot. And then we'll have our regular um, era starting. There's nothing extra fancy about this coming era in terms of the era itself. There will be new units, there will be new cosmetics, etc. But outside of that, I don't think I've seen that much new stuffs that would be exciting to mention at this point. One thing I didn't talk to you about today is regarding artifacts, because you know that this is one of the big things we're working on. So artifacts rework is coming. The plan is pretty much what has been mentioned a few times already, and what a lot of players also were kind of directing us towards, which is um, adding new levels to the artifacts and making the current maximum the new maximum of those new levels. Meaning, if right now you have 5 level, maybe you will get 10, maybe you get 15, I don't know. And the max of some of the artifacts that are already way too strong will be the new max. So that means if you were at the level 5, I don't know how we're going to do it. Maybe we'll move now to level 6 or something like this. And you will have um, to trying to get to those new levels, to those new max. But the way we see it is that it should put a bit more level back into the game, a bit more balance, because a lot of players even those that have max artifacts are a bit bored with the way it's playing out, because right now strategy of units is often way less important than the artifacts you're using. By going this way, we'll be able also to buff some of the artifacts. So it's not exactly true to say that the new maximum will be the current maximum and we just add more levels. That's true for some of the artifacts that are really the most powerful in the game. For some artifacts that are way less used, they might be buffed for those new levels. And these new levels will be super tough to get to because we want this to be really a long run kind of thing. And we want it to be something that will motivate players, play the events, play the game, and be able to get to there. So that's something that will take some more time. And one thing we also mentioned is that we are working on a form of an artifact debuff. So that means kind of a passive artifact, a defensive artifact that you could use to lower the effect of one of the offensive artifacts. We don't know yet what form it will take. We talked about it the last time. Of course, it will never nullify an artifact because it has to be um, still something that favors the offensive side. But the idea is to make it so that artifacts are really something you work towards pretty much all the time you have in the game, because technically you should never really be able to say, okay, I'm done with artifacts and now I have nothing to do with the game. So that's the way we're looking at it right now, and using uh, uh, probably a different form of currency that is taking more time to get because you need to get it through events, etc., will allow players to get to those new levels of artifacts, but it will take time, and so that would level the battlefield again between a lot of players. So that's one thing we're working on. At the moment, it's still a bit further away, so that will still take quite some time, but that's definitely something we're working on at the moment. And I can mention this. It's a rework, rebalance of the artifacts. Technically, though, someone that was at the level 5 of artifacts will still get the same advantage over someone that was level 4 than they had in the past, right? It's not like you would lose uh, any advantage you had compared to anyone else. It will still be there and still be the same indeed. Okay. I see for whatever reason that the chat in here is not getting properly uh, edited. I had this issue in the past already. Let me see if I can get that sorted because I think I did it the last time. I think I know what I need to do. I don't know why it's there. Okay, we'll see if it's finally coping with what is happening. I think it kind of froze when everything disconnected, and since then it's not really working fine. Oh, Benjamin, you're saying sacre bleu. That's definitely not the kind of swearing I would expect to hear in French. I think, except in maybe, if you're reading an old Tintin book, but outside of that, you would probably never hear anyone say sacre bleu in French. It's really old school, but it's cool. It's kind of it has a nice sound to it. Uh, from what I understand, it came from the monarchy, and it's kind of insulting the king because the blue blood was the royalty. So that's what I kind of understand from that, but I might be wrong. I would need to dig a bit deeper and try to see what's the etymology of this. But that's my guess. Okay, so now it seems like things are working again and quite smoothly. I can rest a tiny bit. Okay, guys. Any other questions? Anything you would like to bring up? I see that a few of you that are watching, guys. If you want to ask any question, if you want to check anything, please let me know. It's now or never, pretty much. Because well, now it's now or in 2 weeks, but you know what I mean. I see that we are fighting Benny right now. Would that be you, Benjamin? Correct. I knew it. That's you see, that's what I said earlier. The only Benjamin I knew in Germany were all old named Benny. And since I said that earlier, I realize now that there's at least one that was definitely called Benjamin and simply used Benny as a short nickname because it was one of my bosses. I'm sure that his name was Benjamin. It's just we never called him this way, so always sounded a bit weird for me to consider that it's the name. People call you Benny or Ben because it's easier. Yeah, that's what I would assume. Technically, that's the same. Uh, Nobody really calls me by my full French name. People usually use a shortened version, especially in international contexts, because in my first name you have sounds that is pretty much impossible for any non-French speakers to pronounce. So, oh yeah, I remember quite a few Misha and Madze for Matthias, etc. Yeah, and I think for Matthias, I mostly heard just Matt being used um, most of the time. Oh, fancy! Someone is using the new units, the Mendro. That's cool. And that seems like it's again a German player, Vosi Velsen. Oh no, not this letter. The letter that you're referring to, the it's kind of a weird one because technically, at least from our perspective, we don't even consider it to be a letter. I mean, it is one, but like when we say we have 26 letters in our alphabet, we don't include that. You know, this is more of a very, very oddly specific thing that is used in just a few words. I can only think of two. So I can only think of œuf and the plural e, or in œuvre, which is another one. But that's the only ones I can think of that would have this letter or sound in it. We have this thing in France that we have uh, some accents and stuff that are only there for one word. We have the accent on no, I'm not even referring to the accents to the accents that we have the which is the o and the e smashed together is not even an accent. It's something different. I don't even know what would be the official name for this kind of thing because that's the only one we have in our alphabet. But for the accents, we have some that are completely messed up, like the accent on the U. We have an accent, like we can have an accent on the U, and this is only used for saying where. When we say where, we say ou, which is OU, with this accent. That's the only place you will ever see this accent. So there's no purpose to it. It's only to mess up with foreigners that are trying to learn the language at this point. And it's the same, yeah, for the C that you're referring to. So the CCD, those things, funnily enough, there was a reform of our alphabet and grammar and all of that decades and decades ago that was getting rid of all of that. And it's official, but it's never been taught to kids. We keep teaching them about those old letters and stuff, even if they're like 400 years old. And they did make sense when they started to use it this way and unify French under that system. It doesn't make sense at all today. Like you were mentioning the accent circonflexe. That's something we add in words when there used to be a S that we took out. But no one cares that there was an S in a word 500 years ago. It doesn't make any difference to the way you pronounce it. So it shouldn't be there pretty much. It's only there to confuse people. So, yeah, we have a lot of things like this that I don't quite get, especially because we had uh, linguists working on getting rid of all that, find a new way to have a better, more modern fitting US language, French language, sorry. And it's not applied. No one follows that reformed system. And I think it's a bit sad because I believe that it would make French a lot easier for people to learn. And I'm always in favor of making languages easier for people to learn. So yeah, definitely not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. Okay, guys, we are already getting to the end of the stream. Actually, I'm saying already, but that's because the stream kind of started 3 times in a row. So it's a bit weird. Spanish was way easier. Yeah, I mean, I learned Spanish as well in school, and it was way easier. Um, I basically lost most of my Spanish when I moved to Germany because I had to learn a bit of German. My German is still absolutely terrible because I think for French people, and it must be the same for Germans, to learn how to uh, speak German or French is super tough. For me, it was always this the confusing part was you cut a verb into several parts and you need to remember the beginning of the sentence because it's the final small word at the end of your sentence that will tell you what was meant at the beginning. And that, this kind of grammar, it couldn't work in France. I have a good German friend, and I will leave you on that funny story, guys. I had a German friend that came to my parents' house in France, and he learned French, so he knew how to speak very well. And he came to my family, and we had a family meal. We were probably like 10 or a dozen of my sisters and all of that, and he didn't speak a word of the entire evening. So at the end of the evening, I asked him, hey, dude, what's up? Why are you not speaking? You speak good French. Why aren't you able to speak at all? And he was telling me the problem is that none of you is finishing a sentence. You're always cutting each other before the end of the sentence. And that stuck with me because I understood that this is very problematic for someone that is speaking German. Because when you speak German, you have to wait for the end of the sentence. Otherwise, you can't really figure out what the person is going to say. In France, because we have the same system as in Italy and many other countries where it's, subject, the verb, complement, and pretty much once you have the subject and the verb, the rest is kind of, it's not mandatory. It's kind of additional details. So it's a lot easier just by the way the language is made to cut each other and have 4 or 5 discussions happening all at once, and in a super noisy environment for French people that it is for Germans. And when I started to study German, that's when I realized why, because you need to wait to understand what the verb is and what the sentence means, and that is quite interesting to me. On the other hand, good point for German on the fact that you can really really create words. If you have no idea how to say something, you can easily just contract 2 other things and get it to at least get yourself understood. Thanks to that, you would never be able to do that in French. So that's a good point for you guys. Um, Oh, thank you for saying that you really like my personality. Yeah, I mean, I'm I don't know what to say. That's super nice. Thank you, Benjamin. Um, and I'm gonna actually thank every single one of you for joining us. It's been a bit of a bumpy, a bumpy stream, to say the least, but it was a fun fight night as always. I'm closing the event right now, so you will all receive your gems right away, and I will. Okay, no, I'm not gonna read that. I'm not gonna read that. I'm gonna leave you with that super crazy word. If you want to understand how complicated German can get, just look at the Rhabarber Barbara kind of thing. I think Benjamin will know what I mean. The Rhabarber Barbara, the video by itself and explains why German can get into crazy long words and crazy territory. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll talk to each other in 2 weeks' time. Bye.